And we're live.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. This is the scheduled meeting of the City of Salem Finance Department. I am Tom Anderson. I'm the chair. I would like the other counselors to introduce themselves from the lowest number ward to the highest number ward.
Virginia Stapleton, Ward 1 City Councilor.
Jose Gonzalez, Ward 5. Thank you.
Nikki Varney, Ward 8.
Great. So we have a quorum, and oh, by the way, my ward is Ward 2, and I'd like the staff to introduce themselves as appropriate. And I will say that Josh is Eggleston, the CFO, is not able to be here today, so Jenny Matacek will be running the meeting for us. And I think she's ready to go, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. And the first item is approval of minutes from the March 28, 2022 agenda. Do I have a motion to accept and approve those minutes?
So moved.
Okay. One more second.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? I'm just going to say, unless there's any objection, the chair is going to exercise his prerogative and say we approve the minutes. Okay, next is public comment. Is there any member of the public who would like to address this August body?
There were no public comment requests.
Okay, thank you very much. So now we move on to action items, and it looks like we have no action items. Is that right, Jenny?
That's correct. No action items.
So now we move to the management update and information reports. And the first one is the tome we have received with the quarterly investment report. And I know we all read this carefully and looked over every single inch of it. So Jenny, is there anything you want to tell us before we see if we have any questions or comments?
The only thing I had was just I kind of read through the current market overview. So the Ukraine invasion continued to cause market volatility. Inflation and depressed consumer confidence impacted the U.S. economy, and then also factored into the results are rate hikes, which PFM explained will likely be the first of many. And then there's also an inverted U.S. Treasury yield curve, which tends to be an early sign of a recession, but keep our fingers crossed that's not the case. As far as the city's portfolio performance, we had 0.78% at a yield on cost. And that's the same as what we experienced in December 2021. And then that was a slight decrease from the 1.06% we saw in September.
Do any members of the committee have any questions of Ms. Matacek? Well, I've got one. Speaking now in layperson's terms, is this a good report, a mediocre report, or a poor report in terms of the what our investment portfolio looks like now as opposed to the last time we met?
I think it's in line with what other agencies of our size are seeing, or the similar portfolios. But I think it's a tough market right now for everyone.
So what you're saying is, given the economic circumstances and the pandemic circumstances and the uncertainty, not so much anymore in the American political scene, that this is about as good as we could expect. Is that a fair reading?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So the next one is the investment policy update, which is on your package on page 53. And I'm really assuming everybody read that because it's only 2 pages plus a resolution. So Jenny, would you like to give us a brief walkthrough of that? And then we'll open it up to questions or comments from the staff, or excuse me, from the councils.
Perfect. Yes, I can do that. So the staff report is really to just provide an overview of where we're at from the last time we talked about this. So council approved the amended policy at the February 28th meeting. And then the next step was for us to provide an overview to the Oregon Short-Term Fund Board to seek their approval as well. So we did that on April 19th, and it went very well. The policy and amendments were very well received. The board made the comment that this is actually something they're looking to incorporate into their template that they provide to other agencies. And so it was very well received. We received verbal approval on the call. And then in the coming weeks, we're expecting to receive a formal approval letter. So that will really kick off the implementation on our end. And in that approval letter, they'll make some recommendations for specific verbiage that might be in their template that's not in our policy. And in speaking with PFM, their recommendation was to, since they're not required at this time, to look at those recommendations when we do our annual policy review and consider incorporating that feedback at that time. So that's going to be our strategy, is when we do our annual review of the policy, looking to see, any of their recommendations, what it makes sense to include. And then the last kind of piece of this process is we'll need to amend our service agreement with PFM, our investment advisors, so that we can incorporate the ESG advisory piece into the agreement with them. So they provided a draft of that, and it's currently with our procurement office and legal for their review. And then staff will help facilitate any feedback they may have so that we can get that solidified. And so our goal really is to align that amendment with July 1st, because that's when our contract renews with PFM. And so July 1st is our goal to implement the ESG strategies. And so we'll really see the results of that implementation come September 2022 when we get that quarterly report. And so my suggestion would be that we, bring PFM to that meeting, whether it'll probably either be November or December when they're ready to have that conversation, just because it takes several weeks for them to get us the results. So that way we can really dive in deep to, how our portfolio has been impacted and the results. That's pretty much all of the highlights of that staff report.
Do any of the council members of this committee have any questions or comments on the investment report? And I see Councilor Stapleton, has her hand raised. What's up?
Thank you, Chair. Isn't this one of the goals in the climate action plan to change how we invest? Did I see that on the climate action plan?
I think that it is, and it relates to fossil fuels and that sort of stuff. And that was incorporated in I get the acronym all wrong. ESG, is that right, Jenny?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Okay, great. Yes, I just wanted to kind of make that connection for folks, all the people who are watching this meeting right now.
Yes. All the person who is watching this.
Yes, to let them know that, we are doing work, even though our climate action plan has not, now we have a subcommittee, which is great. But we are already taking steps as a city to really address this really important topic. So I'm really excited to see it come before council.
I agree with you very much. Councilor Varney or Councilor Gonzalez, any questions or comments?
No, Councilor Anderson, I do have a general question. As we see these choppy roads ahead, how quickly can the city pivot? Is it based on these meetings, on what the staff can do at their level? Who knows what lies ahead? But how prepared are we, and how prepared are we to make adjustments?
We're looking at you, Jenny.
Oh, okay. I think we have a great relationship with PFM, and they're very, when we have requests, just like this is an example, they helped us out tremendously with that. So I have a lot of confidence in them. And they're ready to implement, if we really feel like, we shouldn't be investing in this sector, they're ready to make those changes as soon as we ask. So I have high confidence in them, in our ability to pivot on this specific finance topic.
Okay. And if Councilor Varney, you have any questions or comments?
No, I don't, but thank you.
Okay. And as we have discussed in past meetings, we set the general policy, and one of the issues we did have was investment in fossil fuels company, as well as investments in other companies that I would say are, how should I put this? I'll just say take advantage of certain elements of the world society that is not all upper class, upper middle class like our country is. And I think we've looked at that too. And I will also say, and I think I may have reported on this at the last meeting, but it bears repeating. I asked CFO Eggleston if in fact we had any investments, any part of our portfolio included investments in Russia or Russian companies. And he looked at that and came back and said, no, we do not have any. And I presume that's still the case. Are there any other questions about the investment policy update? I think all we need to do, and you can correct me, Jenny, and I don't know if City Attorney Atchison is on the line, but I think all we need to do is just move to accept it as opposed to move to approve it. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So with council's, the resolution and then the approval from the board will be set to go.
Okay. And I also, we talked before the meeting, Jenny, and you said that again, but I want to emphasize, I think, to the public and the rest of the council that the city of Salem is setting the pace here, that we did such a good job, both thanks to staff and also thanks to PFM, as well as a little bit of guidance from this committee. We've prepared a very good investment policy that looks like it might be serving as a model for other municipalities in the state of Oregon, and that's a good thing. So we need a motion to accept the investment policy update.
I move that we accept the, what was it? Investment policy update?
That's how I
Okay, got it.
A second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? I'm just going to ask that we all vote on it by, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. It passes unanimously. So, Ms. Matichek, do we have any continued business?
I don't believe so.
Do we have any new business?
I don't believe so.
And have we set the record for shortest finance committee meeting in the last 8 years, my tenure on the council?
Maybe. Maybe I need to lead them more often instead of Josh.
Yeah. Josh, he talks too much, and like I should say that. All right, unless there is any other business that the staff thinks we need to discuss, I am prepared to adjourn this meeting, and I will see the counselors and some staff at our 6 o'clock meeting tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.